guys, my name is Lebohang Motaung and welcome to Inside Story. Today I have an actor in studio. You know his face there. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Lebohang Motaung. I'm an actor, writer, producer, and I'm also an acting coach.
You forgot the most important role in your life.
And I'm married to the most beautiful woman in the world.
Like,
her name is Lady Motaung.
You better know what's up. You better know what's up.
How dare you?
How dare you, my darling? Anyway, how are you feeling right now? How are you?
I think how I am right now is I'm good in a sense that I feel busy. I feel like I'm busy. I feel like there's a lot going on in the day. I feel like my days are full, which is a good feeling.
Yeah.
Sometimes it brings feelings of tiredness.
Yeah.
But I think it's good feelings of tiredness. When I sleep, I really sleep. Sometimes it's difficult to wake up in the morning, but you know, that's just how life is. You kind of have to. And there's motivation. There's a lot of motivation to get up in the morning. You know?
What's your motivation for waking up in the morning?
My wife is my biggest motivation to get up in the morning. Knowing that I'm going to work and do what I love is a big motivation as well. So yeah, I'm pretty good. I'm feeling blessed. I'm feeling like you know, life is good. Yes, there are challenges, but I feel that I have the energy and the vitality to face them as well. You know?
Okay.
Yeah.
What does holistic wellness mean to you?
Sure. I think it's such a varied subject, but I think part of the most important thing is to take time and reflect.
Yeah.
I think sometimes we don't realize we need wellness.
Yeah.
Sometimes we don't think we need healing because we don't take time to reflect. It's like to make an analogy, when you talk about slavery, you cannot expect anyone to free themselves unless they know they are enslaved.
Yeah.
Same thing with healing and wellness. You don't know that you need it unless you take the time to look at yourself and have that time of reflection for you to get to the conclusion that I need wellness, I need healing, I need to think about my wellness.
Yeah.
You know, I need to think about what is it that's going to promote my wellness.
Yeah.
So I think when you talk about holistic wellness and the word holistic, it has to do with your mind, your body, your soul, your whole being, all aspects of your being, you know, your physiology, your psychology.
Yeah.
All of that taken into account. Are you eating the right food? Are you sleeping enough? Takes care of your physiology. What are you consuming? What are you reading? What are you watching? Takes care of your psychology, your mental as well. You know what I mean? What is it that you're taking in? You know, all of that has to do with being well and being whole.
I love that. Do you not think also it means wellness in every areas of your life? Not only the mind, body and soul. Your finances, your community, you know, how you relate to other people, spaces you frequent, you know, and also existing within your purpose as well.
Absolutely.
Just being balanced all around as a person.
I do think it involves all of that as well. You know, sometimes your finances, we don't realize how much our finances create a lot of stress depending on how well we manage them or not. They are a good example of things that we need to look after as well, you know. So we do need to look after our finances as well. We need to be well financially, and most of the time we're not, especially us as artists.
Yeah.
And also, I do think that wellness has to do with how you relate to nature and how you relate to other people as well. And I think a very big part of it is, maybe this is what we should lead with, is how do we relate to our Creator? You know, the very source of our being, the very progenitor of our existence. The reason why we all are here is, how do we relate to our Creator? How do we get to know Him? I think that might be the foundation of holistic wellness.
What does surrender mean to you?
I think surrender means primarily letting go of control.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes we want to hold on to the reins. We want to be the steering, in the driver's seat, so to speak, you know, in life. And sometimes it's realizing that we're not going to always be in control.
Mm-hmm.
And wanting to hold on to control kind of frustrates you a little bit sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And that you can delegate in terms of how you relate to other people,
mm-hmm.
and also with the divine, with the great spirit or God. There's a sense that one should let go, not just because of letting go, but also understanding that you exist in the first place for a purpose, and you've been put here by a being that is super intelligent, that knows everything, that knows better than you. And so therefore I think the knowledge of that helps you to let go, to surrender, to let go of control. And trust. I think surrendering has a lot to do with trust.
I love that.
Yeah.
So what is the one story, as you recall, whether growing up or as an adult, that altered your life forever? Whether negative or positive, what is that one story for you?
I think a story that fundamentally changed how I think and how I view life and how I do things, and how I think towards life, was my mother's illness and subsequent passing. I began to question a lot of things around that time. Questioned a lot of things around spirituality. Questioned a lot of things about God's existence. Didn't understand a lot. Was asking myself, not so much that I was losing her. Yes, losing her was painful, but more about why must she suffer so much? Why should her life be? Her life was suffering, you know, and her passing she was not okay. She had a lot of illness, and she unfortunately died suffering. You know, so it's
sorry about that.
a thing that made me kind of question a lot of things in life. You know, I think maybe appreciate people more. You know, because I started to think about, could I have done anything? Could I have spent more time with her? Could I have made her done something to make her feel more comfortable? Because she had a long illness that just kept getting worse and worse. You know? And in her last moments, we eventually took her to the hospital, which is something she didn't want, you know. And I kept asking myself after she passed if that's a decision I should have made much sooner.
So how, because I'm hearing, it's a decision that you could have made. There are maybe feelings of guilt, feelings of shame there.
Yeah, definitely.
How did you sort of, or how do you, because grief is an unending journey and it comes in waves. How did you take care of your mental health during this time when your mother was sick and even now dealing with the after effects of it?
I don't quite know if I dealt with it. I don't know if I'm still dealing with it. I don't know if I really did anything to kind of look after my mental health, because part of everything that was surrounding her death is the other thing. I felt like I was too exposed to her body. I don't know if that makes sense. There was a lot of feelings of loneliness. I remember spending time waiting at the hospital for her body to be released, and at that moment just feeling alone and feeling like she must have also felt this loneliness in the time and the days leading to her passing, and just being there alone and just dealing with everything.
So
it's one of those things that kind of makes you grow up very fast, you know.
So you say you don't know if you dealt with those emotions or not, right? So are you planning to, and how are you planning to?
I mean, now that you're asking, I think it's a thought that every time it comes to my mind, I kind of suppress it, shove it in the back of my mind and say, it's the past. What can you do about it, you know? And now that you're asking, I guess it is something that I should deal with, you know? I think up until now, I've kind of felt like it's normal for it to come up more than, you know, every once in a while. I sometimes just sit and reflect and acknowledge and remember the happy times and honor her with just memory and remembering her, you know.
Yeah.
Recently I've been going to the grave as well, which is also creates a conundrum in my mind about what is it that I'm doing at the grave exactly, but I understand it's also just a reference. That's her last remains, so to speak.
Yeah.
So I kind of have thought to myself that it's normal for her memory to keep coming up and for me to keep thinking about how sad her circumstances were and how painful it was and how I can do my little bit to remember how happy she was rather than sustain the memory of the pain, you know. I honestly have never thought that maybe I should go to therapy or deal with it in that way or whatever. But perhaps it is something I should consider.
Yeah, perhaps. Think about it. So, what does purpose mean to you? And are you living according to your purpose? Do you know what your purpose is here on earth? Are you living according to your purpose?
I think my purpose is teaching. You know, I always find myself in situations where, even if it's a little moment, where I can impart something that enlightens someone, that makes somebody's life a little bit easier, that gives information, whether I'm with young people or old people. Sometimes even when I'm with older people, you know what I mean? I always find myself in the gap between the younger generation and the older generation, so to speak. And I think that my purpose is teaching because I think, you know, sometimes they say that you will find your destiny on the road you took to avoid it. I run away from any sort of teaching space a lot. And I somehow always find myself
you usually find
there. Exactly, you know what I mean? I always somehow end up doing that. Either I'm being given a task to do a workshop, or I've been given a task to teach somebody something, you know what I mean? Acting coach, people will approach and say, I need an acting coach. So it doesn't matter what sort of background I might be in, once get to a certain level where I'm knowledgeable enough about whatever it is, the topic or subject, I somehow find myself having to teach somebody in that space, you know. Not so much to be a teacher like school teacher who stands in front of students, but as a person who's kind of leading a learning process. If I may make an example, if we are rehearsing a play, I'm always the one who ends up running the workshop, the warm-up, the physical and vocal, teaching people new things. And every session people are like, oh, can we do that song? Can we do that piccolo mini thing you taught us last time?
You know? And where do you think acting comes in?
I think acting also comes in. It's a part of the teaching, because I feel like with me playing villain characters, it just kind of I had an aha moment the other day, thinking that there's no point avoiding playing villain characters. One, I'm good at it. The other thing being that I realize what villain characters teach. You know, in story. In that part of storytelling that teaches people. Really is close to my heart, because I always feel like villains teach us what not to do. You know definitely. What not to do. You might also learn what you should be doing. You know what I mean?
I love that.
So,
and I love the fact that you have discovered your purpose. You know, you nearly scared me there, husband.
Oh really? No, gotta keep you on your toes.
Oh really? Oh really? What did you say? What did you tell them? I helped you to discover your purpose.
Oh yes. By the way, guys, you know, my wife is just incredible.
I'm joking. I'm joking, man. Okay, so you play a lot of villain characters, like you were saying, and you know, our psyche it doesn't know the difference between real and unreal, right? So how do you deal? I don't want to say how do you get out of character, but how do you take care of your mental health? How do you take care of your psyche? Your brain and everything in your body is processing that information as a real thing that's happening to you, as a real event that's happening to you. For a moment there, when you're playing that character, your subconscious is telling you this is who you are right now, right? Therefore, you have to do some kind of mental work after that. So what is it that you do to step away from that?
I think that's a very interesting question, because it's very complex, this thing of acting. You are presenting a character, and yet you are that character in that moment, like you said. And I think what helps me is that I can go into character. I'm the sort of actor who can go into character, and depending on the type of character, sometimes it's when I put the clothes on, then I feel like, okay, I can slip into character. But at the same time, I can still be myself. As long as the cameras are not rolling, I can crack jokes, and especially lately, that's what I've kind of fallen into in terms of pattern. Let's say, for instance, I'm about to play a scene where my character is very angry. I've realized anger takes a lot of energy to play. I will play the role. As soon as the director says cut, I slip out of it, and I'm myself. You know what I mean? I'll do something where I'll crack a joke that Lebo is cracking a joke, not the character, so to speak. And sometimes it's also tricky, because if you're doing a series, for instance, you pick up the character every day.
Yeah.
So to not go home with the character, the thing that I have adopted doing, we all have our different things that we do, but music has been a very big part of it.
Yeah.
There's a specific kind of music, and I listen to the kind of music that most people don't listen to. I try to, on the way home, listen to my music, the music that Lebo listens to. And that sets me back to where I am, who I am. Try to feel the ground that I walk on. I try to be present in the moment where I am, and say, okay, I am here now. And not in that world of where the character is, or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's complicated, because we never really think about de-rolling or anything like that, but those are some of the things. I think music has become a very, very, very important part of how I look after my mental health, so to speak, And also part of it is understanding how much research you have to do into a character also separates you from the character. You won't have to do research about who you are as a person. You have to make some kind of choices for the character. That process also just like makes marks in the mind to say, okay, you are not the character, you are presenting the character.
What sort of legacy do you want to leave behind?
I've thought about it. There are some things that in life, especially as an artist, you kind of feel like you want to do before you pass on in this earth. One of them is doing a festival where, because I think I'm the kind of artist who has also been exposed to a lot of Pan-Africanism and Bible study. As varied as these things are, they kind of have created who I am. And I've always had kind of different compartmentalized chapters in my life where I was this, and I went fully into it, and then fully drew out of it, went into something else, became that, came out of it, in terms of spirituality, in terms of politics, how I think about my politics, how I think about my interrelationships with people. I think the legacy I would like to leave is something that shows the colorfulness of my life.
And I think, like that.
And I think that my even like if I were to invite everybody that I know, or everybody that I've considered a friend in my life, it would be so many different people.
Yeah.
And I think some of them wouldn't even like each other. But I hope that the legacy that I leave makes the people who I've touched in my life realize how important it is for humanity to get some sort of level of understanding and coexistence. So I think that's the kind of legacy. I have a festival in the back of my mind that really has the continent of Africa at its core, where African people can understand, one, their unity, the power in their unity, the power that they possess as a people, understanding that they are the apple of God's eye. They're not some backward, thrown away people. We are not a thrown away people. We are really a people who have and can possess a lot of power if we get rid of this thing of focusing on the things that divide us. You know? So the festival that I have in the back of my mind is something that I would like to leave behind as a legacy. To say the arts is one of those things that can unite people.
I love that. I really do. I love that so much, because as people we don't realize how similar we are. We're always fighting and not realizing how similar we are as a people, right? How does your relationship with God look like at the moment?
Yeah, I'm going through a phase now which is very challenging, because I kind of feel like he has taught me a lot. He has given me a lot of tools, and I often wonder what goes on in his mind when he looks at me, and maybe he's feeling a little bit disappointed because I'm not living up to what he has taught me. Sometimes, I do want to. The spirit is willing, but you kind of have these challenges in life, and I think those challenges are there for a reason. I know that I kind of have a knowledge of things intellectually. I struggle to grasp things on a spiritual level, on a mental psychological connection, that kind of relationship. I yearn for that kind of relationship, a very deeply spiritual kind of relationship. But I think that I'll get there. It's just one of those things that it'll develop with time.
Thank you so much. Our chat was short and sweet. Thank you so much. And
And I just wanted to say that you are looking absolutely lovely today.
Today?
As you always do. But particularly today, you are glowing. You are looking absolutely stunning. And it's been such a fun chat with you. Yes, I know it was serious, but I've had fun chatting with you.
I'm glad, darling.
A lovely wife.
I'm glad. Alright guys, please do subscribe to our channel, put on that notification bell button so that when we do put out a new episode, you are ready to dive in. Please do follow us on social media. We are at Inside Story Network, and I am at Koketso_Naledi. Until next time.